Okay, welcome back to my part 2 of the CodeGem qualifying round video. As I promised, I intend to make the analysis of my solution for the last two problems, which are way more challenging than the first three problems. So the fourth problem that I'm going to talk about is about some interactive problem. So what's so funny about interactive problem is that instead of reading all the inputs and you process the input, think about some algorithms and output the output that they are asking for. For this one, you have to ask for the input and then output something as questions, and they will and the judge will return the answer as input. So you have output input that interweaves between the code. So what this is asking for is that uh, you have an array of B elements, and you want to like ask the elements to determine all of them. So basically, in the normal mode, you can do like ask for position 1, position 2, all the way to position B. But there's a twist here, as in that after the first question, second question, first question, 11th, 21st, 31st question, etc. Before the system returns you the answer, it will magically change the array in a systematic manner, which I will explain later. And only after they change it did they return you the answer, which is the updated version of the entries. So how can they change? There are two types of updates. Number one, the array can be complemented, meaning that for every element of the array, 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 0. And the second type is to reverse the array, where you choose the first element and the last element and you swap, second and the second last and you swap, and do it for all the elements. So there are two types of operation. Either one can happen, or both, or none. And there are four types of combinations, which gives 25% chance for each one. But frankly, we don't really care about the probability here. And the other thing is that if you look at the question, you are allowed to make 150 queries at most, which means that your queries have to be as efficient as possible. And if you look at the bounds, that B can be as much as 100. So let's get started on the solution. Yeah. This is not a very good setting of the presentation of my solution, so please bear with it. I will try not to write on this section where there is a reflection of the light. So recall that there are two types of operations. One is complement, which we'll name it as C. 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 0. And the second one is reverse, REV. Let me see if it's, yes, it should be clear. So you have like the first one interchange with the last one, and the second one interchanges with the second last, and etc. Okay, and either combination can happen, meaning that this may or may not happen. This may or may not happen. So there are like four possibilities. So what's most important about this is that for each of the value, the updated value, it only depends on two things. Number one, the previous value, and number two, the the original value of its mirror. So when I say mirror throughout the solution, I was A1 is the first one is the mirror of the last one. The second one is the mirror of the second last one, and the list goes on. So seeing this, right, we will, the most natural way is the approach is to group them into pairs. So like A1, AB, A2, AB minus 1, blah, blah, blah. But still, if you just think about it in this direction, I think there will be a lot of pairs that you want to process. So let's see what would happen. let's say since we are looking at pairs, right, we want to see what the pair structure looks like. So 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. Okay, so C means complement, R means reverse, CR means both, N means nothing. So here we can already fill in the values here. Okay, what would happen if you complement it? Then you will just change everything. And what if you reverse? Well, if you reverse the first and the last element, the mirrors are the same, then there's no effect. If they are not the same, then you'll see that both of them get flipped. And what happens if you have a CR? Then you basically take the first row and you flip and you reverse it. So this one becomes 1 1. Sorry, this should be 0 0. This should be 0 0 as well. And if you flip this one, it becomes 0 1. Oh my bad. This should be 0. Okay. Now there's an interesting pattern. So first of all, this one from 0 0, there are only two possibilities: 0 0 and 0 1. For 1 1, there are also only two possibilities, meaning 0 0 and 1 1 as well. And the same thing for this one, 0 1 and 1 0. That all the change you get will be either 0 1 or 1 0. And moreover, if we look at this one, whenever 0 0 becomes 1 1, 1 1 becomes 0 0. Whenever 0 0 remains at 0 0, 1 1 becomes remains 1 as 1 1. The same thing happens for these two columns. So 0 1 becomes 1 0, 1 0 becomes 0 1. When 0 1 remains at 0 1, 1 0 remains as 1 0. So if we look at this one, right, the strategy upon like doing any update would be that, let's say we already know like let's say we already know the certain pairs of the element mirror. Let's say we have a bunch of like 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. Okay, let's say we know that the array just got updated, and this one becomes 0 0. Then this, sorry, to be a bit more specific, we know that this becomes a 0. Then it follows that this becomes a 0 as well, remains as a 0. This is a 1, then this is a 1. And conversely, if this is a 1, this will be a 1, and this is a 0, this is a 0. And if we see more 0 0, then this becomes 1 1, and this becomes 0 0 as well. The same thing happens for this one. We have to treat the same mirror pair and a different mirror pair separately. Like if this becomes a 1, then this becomes a 0, and this becomes a 0, and this becomes a 1. And if we see more 0 1 and 1 0, we know that this will change, this will change, this will change, and this will change. So it means that for whenever it updates, all we need to check are at most two values. Number one, any element where the mirror is the same. Number two, any element where the mirror is not the same. And of course, what you might ask, what if all our pairs are in this category? Then we only need to do one query, right? So the strategy is that so it's from the question. Once you ask for the first element, then it already changed, so you don't bother like what the array was in the beginning. It already got updated, so you ask for the first element and the last. Then you do ask for the second and the second last. So because from our construction just now, we know that it's the most beneficial if we can get as many pairs as possible, which means that it will be we better ask everything in pairs. So let's say we have 20 elements here, 20 blanks here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, let's say we just fill our array according to our mood. 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay, so we ask the first 5, the last 5, and the moment we ask for the 11th one, let's say in the middle, all those might change. So we better re-query again to see what the update's like. So here 1 and 1, let's say if this changed to 0, then we know that this changed to 0 as well. 1, 1 becomes 0, 0. 0, 0 becomes 1, 1. 0, 0, 0, 1, aha. That's where things become a bit trickier because we have to ask again. So suppose that this is 0, then we know that this is 1, and 1, 0 becomes 1, 0. If there is a 0, 0 here, it becomes 1, it becomes 1, 1. So we need to know when it changes and when it does not change. So the general strategy will become ask the first 5 and the next 5, and 2 more for update. So you have 12 now. Then we can ask for 4 more and 4 head and 4 tail, which gives us 20 counts for the 18 elements. So we ask for 2 more and 4, 4, 2, 4, 4. So in the case where b equals 100, let's we'll need like 5 plus 5, 10 plus 8k equals to 100. Now you will ask like what is k? K is 11. So we will end up doing something like 5 5 and then 2 4 4 2 blah blah blah, and then 4 4. So this would give us 98 query elements and 120 queries. So 98 and 120. Now 120 is divisible by 10, so it means that you have to ask 2 more questions for update. So 2 for update, that's 122, and 2 for the last 2, which according to our algorithm, our procedure, it will be somewhere in the middle. So that will become 124. And that's the worst case scenario where we have to use 2 queries for every update. So 124, which is less than 150, which is why our solution passed. Okay, so now let me show you how my solution during the code jam looked like. Okay, so if the query count ends with a 9, so let's say we have done 49 counts queries, then if we ask for another pair, that will be something like 50 and 51. We are putting ourselves in the trouble because the moment we ask for the 50th count, it remains the original array. But if we go for the 51st count, the array changed, so we don't even know what should be the relationship between the 2 mirrors, like whether they are the same or they are different. So in this case, we will just burn it. Just go for a junk query, like let's just query anything. Then we just don't care for the 50th one, and for the 51st one, that we will check and anything we have already asked to go for an update. Otherwise, as we said here, we need to query in pairs, and you see that this is position plus 1 and b minus position. That's what I mean by pairs of mirror. And here, how we implemented it is that we have like for the this whole part, the long one is about updating. So the way we keep track is we have the same counter and a different counter. Same as in do we update 00 to 00 or 11? Do we diff means that do we update any 0, 1 to 1, 0 or just remain it as 0, 1. So we just for this one we simply check. There are two procedures to follow. Number one is to determine whether this is the status of same, whether we want to update 0, 0 to 1, 1 or stay put. And number two is to update it actually update it when it's necessary. So if these two, so we just check like all the mirroring pairs. If these two are the same and we do not know what's the status of this same counter yet, then we will have to do the query. And if it's the same, we just put it as 0. If it's different, we just put it as 1. And whenever it is 1, we have to flip it. Then and the different counter is the same. So which happens when these two are different, 1, 0 versus 1, 0 or 0, 1. Again, if it's not there, we need to query, and if it's already there, then we flip as necessary. So this is mainly the code structure. Now let's look into the last problem. The last problem was worth 32 points itself, which is the heaviest one. The previous one was worth 26 points, and these two, the last two questions already amount to almost 60% of your score. And for this one, why is it worth so much? Because it's hard. Yes, it is hard. Okay, so the gist of the problem is that given n and k, let me just write it here. The input is n and k, and then construct an n times n standard Latin square such that the trace is k, or report that it's impossible. So what is a standard Latin square? Standard Latin square means that each row and column use 1, 2, 3, ... n exactly once. Okay. This is hard because number one, it's not always possible, and number two, if it's possible, it's not even easy to find the construction. And as you will see later, the construction, my construction is a bit tricky, and you will be like, why the heck do you think about it? And believe me, I use a few hours to come up with that solution. Although some people, like those top scorers, probably already found it like in minutes. And yes, we can see that if n equals to 2, k equals to 3, the answer is impossible, despite the fact that k lies between n and n squared. This n and n squared is essential simply because the trace, which is the sum of the diagonal, must be at least n times 1 because and less and at most n times n because every number has to be between 1 and n. So let's break down the solution into a few steps. Okay, so to write the layout here, determine which case are good. Okay, determine which case are good. Number two, find the trace combination. So when I say trace combination, it means that if, let's say, n equals k equals to 6, then your trace has to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's the only possible combination. It's actually not the only solution, but we want to find it as such that our job later will be as simple as possible. And the third one is to construct. Now, first of all, let's do the first task. Determine which k are good. So the simple one would be n divides k. So k equals to n, 2n, 3n. Because there's this easy solution where you simply simply have k k equals to, like, let's say b plus blah 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 b, meaning that all the elements on the diagonal are the same, and you can the construction will be easy in this case. So for example, if you have things like 2 at k equals to 2n, and you have 2 2 2 2, what you could do is that you do something like 2 3 4 blah 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 and 1 1 2 3 4 blah 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 n, and then n 1 2 blah blah blah. So you basically just shift start with this row, and then you shift everything down until you wrap yourself back again over here. And the same idea will work whether the same elements on the diagonal are 1, 3, 4, etc. So this is the easy case. And the other case is when we have n minus 1 a's and 1 b on the diagonal. We know that it's impossible to create such a matrix. So why we know it's impossible? So here we know we have a not equal to b, because once we have all the a's on the diagonal, now there are n minus 1 of them here, and then by our requirement we want a to appear in each row and each column exactly once. They cannot appear here and again because they already appear on this on this line. They cannot appear on here either. So so as a reminder, these are all. This is 1 times n minus 1. This is 1 times n minus 1. This is n minus 1 times 1. So it still needs to be on the last column and the last row, which means the only possibility is here. But we want here to be a b, so this is a failure. Which means that we want to find a construction, not constructions, find a case such that the only possibility is in this form. Now but at this point you should probably notice that when k equals to n plus 1 and k equals to n squared minus 1, these two fit perfectly into this criterion, because the only possibility when you can have this is when you have trace equals to k equals n plus 1, whereas is when you have 1 1 1 or the 1 and 2, and same thing here when you have n minus 1. All right. Are these all the cases? Turn out no, which is why you have to be very, very careful on the edge cases, because when you have k equals to 3, think about what happens when n equals to 3. My bad. When k equals to 5, and you want like a plus b plus c equals to 5, and all these have to be like 1 2 and 3. The only possibility you can have is 1 2 2 and 1 1 and 3 up to permutation, which means that two of them are the same and one different. Two same, one different, aka the two truth and a lie in the matrix game. The same thing goes for k equals 7. The only case you can have is 2 2 3 or 1 3 and 3. Now, for the benefit of the next step, we eliminate we solve for the case of where case n equals to 2 and 3 first. For n equals 2, there are only two possibilities. 2 and 4, they are multiple of 2, yes. 3 is 2 plus 1, no. N equals to 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3, 6, 9 possible multiple of 3. 4 and 8 are n plus 1 and n squared minus 1. 5 and 7 we just show manually. So we have already solved for the case n equals to 2 and 3. So from now on, let's assume n greater or equal to 4, so that our analysis will be cleaner, so to say. Now let's say now we want to find a nice form of the trace sequence, but it might be a bit hard because the nice form will probably be something like you want like everything to be the same, like where you have like b, but it will result in the consequence where k has to be divisible by n, which is not always the case. So to make ourselves our lives easier, let's try something like n minus 2 of them be the same, and the other two can be different, whether you have B, C, or B and B, where all these things are different from A. Now the claim is that for again assume n greater equal to 4. For all k equals to n plus 2 all the way to n squared minus 2, it can be written in either k equals to n and a, or k equals to n minus 2a plus 2b, a not equal to b, or you can do n minus 2a plus b plus c, b not equals to a, c not equal to a, and of course you can do c equals not equal to b as well, but not doing this is just the same as this one. So we want to show that it's in this category. Now in the context you don't really have to show, because you can just look through all the A's and B's and C, and after all, it's not going to take too much more time from this than to construct a matrix. But it's still a good idea to justify it to yourself so that you can get a peace of mind. Before I skip to the next thing, let me show you some observation. Meaning that there's this thing called the symmetry. By symmetry, I mean that let's say you have n equals to 5 and your matrix sequence turned out to be something like 1, 1, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so everything is between 1 and 5. If you do like 5 plus 1 minus 1, 5. 5 plus 1 minus 1, 5. Same thing. 5 plus 1 minus 2, 4. 5 plus 1 minus 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. This will still lie between 1 and 5. So in general, when you have something like A1, A2, all the way to AN, and you try to have something like, you try to flip things and to make it n plus 1 minus A1, n plus 1 minus A2, all the way to n plus 1 minus AN. This is between n1 to n. This will still be between 1 and n. And with this, what would be the sum of this thing? It will just be n plus 1 minus the sum of this one. So this is the sum of this one. So the sum will also have a nice mirror relation between with respect to the endpoint n plus 1, which means that if we can construct a sequence in the form we want in like this, we can also for this the sum of ai, which is k. We can also do the same thing for n plus 1 minus k, which means that we practically only have to show this for k from n all the way to n plus 1 divided by 2. Okay, and how would our sequence look like? If we go by the rule, then we will have like 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, all the way to n. Notice that this everything increases by 1. So this covers everything from this is n minus 2 plus 4, n plus 2 to n minus 2 plus 2n, which is 3n minus 2. Okay. Here we how we want to continue. We better continue with 2, 2, 2, and 3, 3, because we can because in this case this is the way we can guarantee that these two numbers will be different than all the 2's. 3, 4, blah blah blah, and all the way to n. Now, if this is less than this one, then it's good because we basically get an overlap. But what if this is more than this one? Let's say you have like let's say you have something like k, and then k plus 1, k plus 1, k plus 2, k plus 2, and there's a big gap between here, then there is a risk that the number between the gap is not are not representable in this form. So we want the gap to be at most 1. I mean, they can overlap. This can be smaller than this one, but this cannot be more than this one by at most 1. Sorry, this cannot be more than this one by at least 1. Okay. So we want k n minus 2 plus 2n plus 1 to be more than plus 2 times k plus 2, and it turned out that this can be solved when 2k plus 1 is less than or equal to n, which means that for even case, k is less than or equal to n over 2 minus 1. K plus or for odd case, it should be here, n minus 1 over 2. And the most you can represent, like let's say this is the maximum k that you go for, then the maximum you can guarantee to be safe is k plus 1 and here. Now we choose the smaller one, aka k is n over 2 minus 1, and this gives the sum k plus 1 n minus 2 plus 2n, and k n over 2 minus 1. This thing just turned out to be n plus 1 over 2, which is a good news for us, because this shows that our algorithm works. Yeah. So now we have shown that everything up to n plus 1 over 2 can be represented in this form, and similarly, everything from n plus 1 over 2 to n squared. Well, we just take its mirror image and do the same thing. Then we flip it with respect to n plus 1 again. So the last task is to actually construct it, which is how the heck do you construct this thing? Well, there's actually a small observation. So if you look at this one, 2, the original one where everything is all the elements on the diagonals are the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what happens if we swap these two rows. You'll get 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So these two magically becomes 2 and 4, which is in the form of like n minus 2 times a, 1b and 1c category. Okay. Here a is 1, b is 2, and c is 4. But by symmetry, once you can find a configuration just for this a, b, and c, as long as they are different, we are good to go for all the cases where a, b, and c are different. Why? Because we can define a mapping from 1 to n to 1 to n. A mapping exists such that it's bijective, and then equals to 1, 2 equals to A, and n equals to B. Sorry, this is A, this is okay. In general, when you have like all the ones, and then this will be what is this? This is 2. This is n. You swap these two, and it will just become 2n and then 1 over here. So this is the easiest case, all the n, A, B, and C. But how about the case where you have n minus 2 times A, and then the last two are the same, which is B? This is essential because when you have n plus 2, the only way you can go is 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2, 2, or 1, 1, 1, or and 1 and 3. But we have shown that this wouldn't work because you have n minus 1 truth and 1 lie. So because this is a bit tricky, let me show you only two particular examples depending on whether n is even or n is odd. So when n is even, n is odd, let's do this. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Let's choose n equals 7. Not too big to waste our time, but not too small that it loses people fail to see the property. We have 2 and 2 here, and because all this has been filled with 1s, the remaining 2 ones have to be here. So these are the only spots, and we can try to do something like fill the 2s here, 2, 2, 2, and do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. So now we need to keep track of which elements are still missing. So, hold this. My writing is bad. Bear with it. So this is 5, 6, and 7. 6, 7, and 3. 7, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So one way, well, intuitively we can do like 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 3, but you have 6, both 6 in these columns, so it's a no-no. Instead, we can do what if we just do the reverse? 7, 6, 5, and 3, 7, 6. You have to wrap it back. Everything is about modulo right now. 4, 3, 7. 5, 4, 3. And 6, 5, and 4. Now, despite the messiness in my writing here, we still can see that there is no repetition over here. And how and why is there no repetition? Like even if you go for like a way bigger odd number n, this will still work. Because if we just consider this thing out, just don't care about the 1s and 2s. They are already fixed there. We don't care about it anymore. So we want to see what is the pattern on the 7 to 3 pattern over here, and also in the row form and in the column. In the row, we have already seen that we just go in this order 7, 6, 5, 3, 7, 6. In the so-called descending order which is the wrap. Here we have 6, 3, and 5. 6, 3, and 5. Let's consider this array. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, jump 2 steps, wrap it back. 3, jumps 2 steps, you get 5. 7, jumps 2 steps, you get 4. Jumps 2 steps, you get 6. Here 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, which is a perfect jump. 4, 6, and 3. 4, jump 2 steps becomes 6. Jump 2 steps it can become 3. And 5, 7, 4. 2 steps to 4 and 2 steps to 2 steps from 5 to 7 and 2 steps to 4. And it will go for bigger odd numbers because the numbers you have here are odd. So when you jump two steps, even though for when n is bigger, the numbers might overlap, but they won't repeat. So let's say you have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to like let's say 85. This big. So 3 to 5, 5 to 7, all the way to 85. You jump two more steps, it becomes 4. 4 to 6, 6 to all the way to it will be less than 84. I can guarantee because there aren't that many. There aren't 83 of them here, which means that when things are odd, then this will work. And finally, we still have to settle for the last column. Sorry, I mean last row. This will just be 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3. This will be 7, 3, 4, 5, 6. I.e., you take 3 to 7, shift everything to the right here, and shift everything to the left. And the one reason why this would work here is that when we construct it, right, we do things in the modular order, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you shift things all around. So things are more systematic here. Now, because of the jumps two steps problem, we will eventually face into a problem when we have n even number. So let's see how would the even number case work. Okay, we'll choose n equals to 8 because it's small enough to demonstrate, but it won't lose its structure either. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. Okay, as we said before, this here has to be 1. We might try to put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, but because of the jump two steps problem or whatever, it wouldn't work. So we have to be a bit careful and do 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5. The reason we came up with this is that because we have like 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and we chop things into 2, and then every time we just map 3 to 6, which is like the 3 steps away, 3 steps away, 3 steps away, and there's some, not to say symmetry, but some pattern hidden in it. And the next thing we need to do is to determine what are the numbers that are missing. So, oh my god, this is very slanted. I think let's write it in nicer form. And this is 2, 1, 1, 2. So this is 3 and 6. We are still lacking 4, 5, 7, 8. This is 5, 6, 8, and 3, 6, 7, 3, 4. And this is basically this thing copied over. 8, 3, 5, 6, 3, 4, 6, 7. Okay. So the next thing we can do to construct was just the same as in the odd case, except we have already chopped up the leftover into two parts because of the 3 steps gap here, or rather n minus 2 divided by 2 steps. Maybe it might help to just write this in the nicer form. Okay. Then the next thing, the same policy 2, we'll write it in this way, and 8, 7, 5, 4. Again, reverse order. It just works magically. 3, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 7, 6, and 5, 4, 8, 7. 6, 5, 3, 8. Recall it's in this order, and 7, 6, 4, 4, 3. Now, if we look at this one, let's use this space 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 jump to 7, 2 steps. then 7, 8, 3, 4, that's 3 steps, and 4 to 6, that's 2 steps. So we are doing 2, 3, 2 every time. If you look at this one, 6 to 8 is 2 steps, 8 to 5, 3, 4, and 5, 3 steps, 5 to 7, 2 steps. So it's basically 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. If you put it in a bigger perspective, it will be like yes, it will be 2, 2, 2, blah blah blah, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, which means that you are kind of guaranteed that it won't repeat itself, because this comes before it's supposed to repeat. So let's say we do 5, 7, and then 3, 4, 3, and then you do 5, then only you do 3 steps, then you will be forced to repeat. But this doesn't happen, and it just happens on the 2 to 3 steps. Just happen on time. And from here we can just we can recover what are left over. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't change. This one we just shift to the right. Okay, so that's all the presentation for this problem. Let me show you my code. It is very messy in the case that first of all, the all diagonal same case. Make 3 means that n minus 2 of them is A, are A, and then what B and C are different. And make 2 means n minus 2 of them are A, and then the last 2 are B. If you see here, there's this mapping, because when I constructed my solution, my code, I was relying on all the ones, B equals to 2 and C equals to, let's say, n. And this mapping was just like what I say, that the bijective function that maps from 1 to n, and that maps like 2 to, like, let's say 1 to A, 2 to B, and n to C, for example. And the make 2 is, as you can see, I have to split into the cases where n is odd versus n is even. So yeah, that's all the solutions. That's all the solution I have. 251 lines. Though some of them are just some scripts that check the validity of the answer, and also the loop that checks whether we can write it in the nice ABC form. Okay, so that's all the solution I have. Just some heads up. The next round, which is round A, is in 4 days. So yeah, I hope I can qualify, and yeah, wish me luck. And if you like this, if you really enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel or like it. Thank you very much.